Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about all the books that I read in September. And September is 7, never mind. I was gonna make some kind of fun joke that I read 10 books in September. But September is the 9th month and Sept is 7, so it doesn't work. Ignore the fact that I'm getting emails. So I read 10 books. There were three library books, so I don't have those with me anymore. And I had a handful of DNFs that I'm probably not going to talk about, but they are these ones. Honestly, I think I would go back to some of these. I was in a weird reading slump after the Daydreams. After I finished the Daydreams, that one wasn't even particularly amazing. It's just, I don't know, after that, I hated everything I picked up. So the books that I DNF'd are kind of more of a soft DNF. I know Their Vicious Games is one where I'm definitely not the target audience, but I can usually still have fun with them, and that one wasn't clicking, but I do think I would try it again when I'm not in a slump. But that's really all I'm going to say about those. I don't have a lot to say. I didn't get very far in any of them. And with most of them, I was either not the target audience or I just didn't like the writing quality, and I moved on. And that's really all there is to say about it. The rest of these are really in no particular order because they're just kind of in a stack next to me, and whatever I pick up is what I'm going to talk about. So actually first is the 3 library books that I read, which were Don't Fear the Reaper, The Daydreams, and Practical Magic. And they were all okay. I really did enjoy Don't Fear the Reaper. That is in a reading vlog where my cats picked what books I was going to read, and I did really enjoy that. I don't have a lot to say about it that I didn't already say in that vlog, and because it's a sequel, there's still not a lot I can say about it without talking about the first book. But I do definitely recommend it if you liked My Heart is a Chainsaw. I think it's a good sequel. If you like Stephen Graham Jones, I recommend the trilogy. That's really all there is to say about it. Practical Magic, I was so excited for because my friend has been wanting me to watch the movie, and I really wanted to read the book first, but I really wanted to watch the movie. So I was like, I'm going to read the book and then I'm going to watch the movie, and I'm going to do this kind of book to movie vlog. I didn't like it. I didn't even finish the movie, so I scrapped the vlog. It's not bad. Honestly, it's fine. I thought it was a very witchy book, like a witchy Halloween fall vibes. It's very fall. It's got the aesthetic, but the story is very much just kind of a slice of life where the girls' aunts might be witches. Like, it's pretty much assumed that they are, but it's really never discussed. It's not really a huge plot point. It comes up at pivotal moments, but the story isn't about witches, which is what I wanted. So it failed for me spectacularly just based on my expectations, but I don't think it is necessarily a poorly written book for its time. It aged okay. It could be better. But then I was like, well, I love Sandra Bullock. I'll love the movie. I still intend to finish it at some point, but like the movie and the book seem pretty closely matched. Especially just coming off of not caring about the book, I was not in the mood to then watch the movie where I didn't care about it either. And the last one is The Daydreams by Laura Hankin, which I forget why I wanted to read it. Like when I picked it up, I was just like, I know I wanted to, but I don't remember why. And it gave serious vibes of like, not quite I'm Glad My Mom Died, but like that kind of child star memoir feeling, because it follows a child star who fell out of the limelight by choice, and when the show is coming back for a reunion, she kind of has to re-enter that world and decide what her future is, kind of how she wants to reevaluate her past, and how those around her influenced her life and the toxic culture of child acting. And it was all very interesting, and I read it very quickly. It's very fast-paced, it's very well written. It did kind of leave me wanting for more celebrity child memoirs than the fictional version. Like while I'm reading that, I'm like, I enjoyed Jeanette McCurdy's books so much more. I would love Victoria Justice to be able to write one. I'm confident she was under an NDA. Alexa Nicole, I think, is that the one from Zoe 101? I would love to read those. Obviously, we're not touching Jamie Lynn Spears' book. I don't know if she talks about toxic culture, because as toxic as she is, I also believe she was a piece. She was partially victimized in that culture. She just also was a bully, still is a bully. So while I'm not reading her memoir, I don't know if she talked about that kind of toxic culture at all or not. I'm guessing not, because they rebooted Zoe 102 or whatever. But so while this book is interesting, I do think the actual stories from these child stars is more compelling. However, if you're kind of into that celebrity memoir, particularly child star memoirs, I do think this fictional account will scratch that itch. It's not a memoir, like it's not even a fake memoir. It gives that feeling. And if you like those, I do recommend it. And I actually have another book from this author on my shelf, which I didn't even know. So that was a fun surprise. So I'm going to read that at some point, eventually, maybe. Then I read, and I say then, these are in no order, The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa Matlin, which was, it was fine. I read it so fast. Like, I think maybe 2 sittings. I read this incredibly fast. I mean, it's not super long, and Book of the Month obviously favors a specific size. So, I mean, they're going to obviously mess with the margins to make that happen. But, so I will give it that. It was very readable, and it was, I think, fairly well paced. The mystery, I know people didn't like. And I actually accidentally figured it out so early on. And I can't explain to you why, because there's going to be a group of people who are aware of the story that I am aware of. And I have to believe that she drew influence from that story. Because as soon as that thing happened in the book, I was like, oh, that reminds me of the story that I heard. I wonder, or not even I wonder, just like, wouldn't that be funny if that was the big reveal? And then it kind of was. And had I not predicted it, I personally would have really liked that reveal. I understand why it doesn't work for people, and I'm not going to sit there and say this is the best thriller of all time. It absolutely is not. It's far more of a mystery than a thriller, which was disappointing. And it's just average. The main character is not likable. She's very annoying. And she's unreliable-ish, but like not in the fun way. Like, you're just kind of like, I'm sick of your shit. Stop it. So, like, it's fine, but I wouldn't rush to read it. But I am curious, if you have read this and you know what story I'm referencing, did you pick up on that? And do you think it was inspiration? Because, like, it has to be, right? And no, I remember none of what I rated these. I think this was a 3-star. Maybe I might have been generous. I might have given this a 4 because I really liked it when I read it. But like, the longer I think about it, the less I like it. I don't know. Like, it's fine. I'll never probably read it again, but will it stay on my shelf forever? Also probably. Then we read what might be my favorite book of September, Shark Heart, a love story. And I have a whole dedicated vlog to it where I cried. This book will not work for everyone. And I said that so many times in that vlog, but it won't. Most people, I think, will hate this book. But my God, did it work for me? And I love it so much. Like, when it finds its audience, we are going to be just like a cult about it, I think. Like, it's so good for its right audience. But basically, the short version, this woman, her husband turns into a shark. And it's a love story, and it's a sad story, and it's not a body horror story, and it's beautiful. And I actually tabbed it, which is not something I do frequently, which is really how you know how much I loved it. But like, this was like 6 out of 5 stars for me. I loved it so much, I already want to reread it. We also read Counting the Cost by Jill Duggar. And holy shit, you guys. This is probably the most honest takedown of the Duggars we're ever going to get from a Duggar. It is very, very clear to me that Jill has gone through a lot of therapy and is working really hard to understand her place in the world after growing up, not only in a cult, but on TV. And does she have a far way to go before she recognizes a lot of the problematic views I do believe her and Derek still hold? Absolutely. We are not saying Jill and Duggar are like great people, but they have come so far. And I'm really proud of the work that they put in to do that, because escaping a cult is not an easy thing to do, particularly when your family is the face of the cult. I cannot imagine how hard, I mean, her life, but especially writing this was for her. And like, I mean, there was like, I didn't know when, I want to say TMZ broke the story about Josh abusing his sisters, that was done illegally. Like, should I have known? Probably, but like, you know, once it's out, it's out. Like, there's nothing you can do. And then to find out that Jim Bob was doing so much to protect Josh and doing nothing to protect his daughters, and not even in the home. I mean, absolutely, they fucked up by not protecting their daughters in the home from their child predator. But once all this stuff starts coming out, the amount of money that Jim Bob spends trying to protect Josh and save him and like whatever, and then he does nothing to help the girls when they are being just thrown all over the place for being victims and being forced to be re-victimized. Like, it was awful. And this was actually really good. I haven't read any of the other Duggar books. I have no intention of it. I don't think any of them are really worth it if you're in it for the Duggar gossip. If you're interested, I guess, in the Duggars because you like them, they're probably good. But if you're like me and you're here for the snark, this is the one. We also read Burn the Negative. I don't know why I'm saying we. I am one person. But I read Burn the Negative by Josh Winning. This was also in a vlog where my cats picked my reading, and this was so good. I compared it a lot to Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. This is the better version of that story. They're very similar, and I enjoyed them both. This is a superior novel where there's like a theme here of child stars. The child star grows up out of the limelight. She's now an investigative, or not even investigative, she's just a journalist, and she has to go do a story on a movie or a TV show that is a reboot of a really old movie. Turns out that she was a child star in that movie, but no one knows it. So she's kind of wrestling with dealing with being back on this set where a lot of horrific things happen, but no one knows who she is, and then like things start repeating themselves. All very spooky and fun. Definitely a good Halloween story. I don't remember actually when it takes place, but it's a spooky, scary story, and I'm a fan. I read Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney. I also really enjoyed this, and there's also a dedicated reading vlog to it. It was very interesting. I liked the conversations about mother-daughter relationships, and it was fine. I think I may have given it a 4-star. The more I think about it, it's definitely more of a 3-star. I don't actually remember what my official rating is, but it was fine. It's not my favorite Alice Feeney. My favorite is Daisy Darker, but I really did enjoy this one a lot. I am also kind of an Alice Feeney apologist. I've basically loved everything she's written, except for His and Hers, and I don't even remember why. I just know I hated it. I say that. I think I gave it 3 stars, so I didn't even really hate it. But if you are an Alice Feeney fan, it is definitely a good time. It's definitely more mystery than thriller, which also seems to be a theme right now, that there's a lot of books being called thriller, or they are by common thriller writers, and they're definitely just more of a mystery. And that's fine, but you need to go into it knowing it's a mystery. There's not a lot of action, not a lot of spooks, but very good. I did eventually finish Court by Tracy Wolff. I was talking about this in a lot of vlogs, and I kept never finishing it. By the time I sat down to finish it, I really enjoyed it. I don't really know where I expect the series to go now. I was shocked where this ended to know that there are 2 more books. I have since started book 5, and I'm still confused where we're going after this book. I don't know if I like that there's 2 books after this one, I think is all I'm gonna say about that. But this was a good time. I did really like this, and actually had this been the end of this series, I would have been completely fine with that. I have mid expectations for the rest of book 5 and all of 6, and that breaks my heart because I've really been enjoying this series. So that's a little And actually, the last thing I read in September, and also the last in my stack, was a reread of Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire because it was a book club pick. And I needed to reread it so I could remember. And then, disappointingly, it was not a smash hit with the book club. Like, who are these people? Why don't they love Shauna Maguire like I do? That was actually probably the most heartbreaking thing, that they didn't love it. I did forget how murdery it was, which did not set them up with the right expectations, unfortunately. I think I sold a little bit more whimsical than this book is. I know some of the other ones are more whimsy. This one a little bit less so. But it still remains so good. One of my favorite books of all time. Favorite series of all time. And it has me so excited for book, I want to say 9, the dinosaur one that's coming, which I then got very concerned because if every other book, what is happening, is the school versus a portal, wasn't the last one in a portal, which means the next one's at the school. So how are we going to experience the dinosaurs if we're at the school? There's got to be a lot of dinosaurs. Anyway, this was fantastic. If you haven't read Wayward Children, where have you been? You need to read Wayward Children. They're so good. And that is my stack of 10 books. This was some backwards ones that I read in September. And I have a new vlog coming soonish that I haven't started filming that I'm really excited about. I actually have no idea if the book's going to be any good, but I'm excited for the concept. But I have to figure out the book that I'm doing it with. Anyway, I will talk to you guys in another video later. Bye.